We are currently in a temporary living situation, as most of you who follow my channel already know. I am a person that is directly affected by their environment. So my environment helps me with my inspiration, my productivity, my motivation, and because we've been in this temporary living situation for longer than we expected, like I said in my last vlog, it's definitely making me feel a bit blah. First order of business, open up these blinds. As you guys can see, it's so dark in this room. It's winter here in New Zealand, so I think that that's contributing to my blah feeling. I'm a spring girl. I'm a summer girl. I love that sunshine. It's June gloom right now in California, so I'm not feeling that bad because June is always gloomy and it kind of makes my head hurt in California. So I'm using that to make me feel better about the situation. In this video, I'm gonna share with you guys some of the habits that I've created for myself over this time that I've had to be sort of hyper focused on making sure that this space is continuously just feeling fresh and homey, because if I let it get to a point where it just feels like a mess, it really affects my mood even more so than if it was my own space, if that makes any sense. So I've just had to be like kind of hyper alert about that. So I've created specific habits for myself to help me get through that. If you are new to my channel, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. If it's red, that means you haven't subscribed before. Definitely do so that you never miss a new video from me. And let's get into cleaning this space because I can already see what needs to get done. In order to make the bed, I need to remove the stuff that is on the bed. So my sweaters, Alex's hat, his shirt. As simple as making the bed first thing in the morning sounds, it is something that I personally, and possibly you do, overlook from time to time, because sometimes in the morning I'll be tired and groggy when I first get out of bed and I'll think, oh, I'll have my coffee first and I'll come back and make the bed later. Well, then you have your coffee and then something happens, like a family member calls or a work call happens or you're needed for something in your life and you forget about it. And then later on in the day you come back into the bedroom and it already feels like a disaster because the bed's not made. And then you're kind of hard on yourself because you're like, why didn't I just make the bed first thing in the morning? It doesn't have to be a perfectly made bed. These are fresh sheets, which always is a great way to reset your space too. We just changed the sheets like 2 days ago, which was nice. And then I always just like kind of fluff a little bit for the pillows, and then I do a little fold. And then because it is winter here, and I'll go on the other side to make that a little bit better, but because it is winter here, we have this like wool sheet on top, and I just fold it down and make it just feel at least a little bit more organized, so that later on in the day when I come in here, I thank my past self instead of getting frustrated with the mess. On my way out of the room, I try to create the habit to always bring whatever water glass or water glasses are near the bed on the nightstand, because these can accumulate quite quickly, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, and by the end of the week you have a collection of water glasses. So if you just grab the one that you grabbed the night before on your way out the next morning, it just ends up creating this immediate habit that you just do without even thinking about it. We made breakfast, had coffee, lived life this morning. So of course, this is how the kitchen currently looks. I'm turning this on. I love cleaning or cooking to music. I use Spotify to just like look up different playlists. Right now I'm really on a classical kick. I feel like classical makes me so focused and peaceful, so I can really be present for everything that I'm doing, feeling peaceful in that way, but I'm also focused and motivated. It's amazing. So if you've never tried cooking or cleaning to classical music, maybe this is your sign to try doing that. I just go to Spotify. I'll tell you guys the playlist that I found. I don't have my own classical playlist or anything like that, but I do find some that have already been created on Spotify. So last time I played classical cooking last night when I was cooking, but I'm gonna play classical relaxation today. First order of business, crushing these dishes. gonna put my hair up in a clip because cleaning means hair up, in my opinion. It means business. Now I'm going to clean the countertops. I have finished with the dishes for the most part, I think, unless there's something, oh, I see something over on the coffee table. So I'll throw that into the dishwasher. So I like to just kind of like do a little look around the house. I like to think about, okay, did I bring the water cup back in, which I did, which is good. I always like kind of do that in my mind. And then now I'm just going to do a fresh little wipe down of the kitchen because of course when you make breakfast, things are gonna get messy and that's just life. After I clean the kitchen countertops, I'm going to actually open this bad boy up for you guys and do some organization here. I don't do this every day. I probably do it every like 3 to 4 days because if I do not stay on top of that cupboard of, you know, just random groceries, it can get so messy so quick, and then like things like the flour ends up right in front of all of the cutting boards and things just, you just need to be able to see things when you're cooking, you know? Like you need to be able to grab them, know where they are easy. So we are definitely going to get that baby in check when I'm done with this. We've got a lot happening here. Back home in California, I had like reusable jars of things, which are all in my boxes in storage right now. Alex and I really like to buy in bulk and then use like mason jars to store our stuff. It looks nice, it also is more sustainable, and we just like doing it that way. Obviously in transit like this, it's a little bit different. We haven't unpacked everything, we're waiting till we get our space. But for now, I like to make it feel like there's some rhyme or reason to this cupboard while we're here eating, of course, because we have to do that to survive. I am going to actually just probably remove all of this stuff because it's at a pretty bad place right now. Usually I can kind of move things around to organize it. I'm gonna have to move this all out and bring it back in. It's always good to just take some stuff out of the pantry anyways because it can always use a little bit of a wipe down. I feel like things open and spill out, and it's good to just kind of stay on top of that so you don't attract more bugs than nature already brings. It's all about putting bigger things in the back too, so you can actually see the things that you have. So something like this big white vinegar bottle, I'm just gonna put it all the way to the back. What's happening? What I really like about pantry organization and doing it every 3 or 4 days, it allows you to get rid of things that are not good anymore, that you just haven't finished, or maybe you have finished, but for some reason the box is still in the pantry. That happens a lot of times where, you know, it's overflowing with stuff and there are like 4 things in there that you can throw away because they're done now and they're just taking up space for absolutely no reason at all. I just grabbed this little container that we had in one of those drawers, and I'm actually just going to organize our bars. We have a lot of these just like to-go bars in here in boxes that are taking up tons of space. So I'm just gonna kind of open these up and put them all in here, which helps organize them anyways. You can see what they are, and it just makes it easier to kind of grab and go. I have a lot of pantry organizers in my boxes, but for now I'm just kind of gonna go with things like this because they work perfectly fine. And whenever I have all of mine used up in my own home, I use stuff like this all the time because it's dual use. You can use it for leftovers, but you can also use it to organize. That just cleared up so much space up here, and now I can just throw this here. And I'm actually going to grab these rolled oats from the top because now I have space here near my baking stuff and can keep the rolled oats there. I'm gonna keep these bars up top here next to our vitamins, and I'm gonna move on to the next one. This is something I like to do regularly. Whenever I see 2 bags of the same thing, but one is pretty much empty, I'll just take this bag and put it in here. So this is a new bag of muesli. This is an old bag. There's just a tiny bit left in here. Now, I haven't opened this bag yet, but I know I will soon, and it has a Ziploc on it. Now we have one bag of muesli instead of having two. All about putting vitamins at the forefront and being able to see each one perfectly. That's why I have these all lined up like this, because if not, I will forget to take them. And here is a much more organized temporary pantry situation. Obviously, it's what we're just doing right now while we live here, but it's pretty much just a lot more organized than it was earlier today, and I can actually see what's going on in here, what we have, what I can use, and it just feels so much better. I am currently sitting in Lanka's bed. I just made it for him. Making it for him means folding his blanket, throwing it on there, putting his little toys on it. Hello there, little mister. He's like, why are you sitting on my bed? He looks concerned. I'm going to tackle this fireplace now. Look at my cozy socks. Many of you may not even have a fireplace. A lot of you might, but we heat this house with this fireplace, so we use it very often, don't we? Lanka loves to sit by the fireplace. That's why his bed's right here by it. But there becomes a lot of soot and it just gets dusty. And as you can see, there's like newspapers underneath that we use to get it lit and going, and it's cozy. I'll light it afterwards. I know many of you may not have to clean your fireplace. I mean, we had a fireplace when we were in LA and we had to clean it. So I don't know, we love fireplaces. It's a staple in any home that we look at. We're like, is there a fireplace? We love fireplaces. It's very common in New Zealand for there to be fireplaces in houses. It's not as common, at least in LA. We got really lucky to find a house that had one. But I know that they're very common all over the world, aren't they? Oh, he just wants some snugs. I love when he does this. He'll just like come in and just dip his head and like almost like just take a little snooze on me. It's my favorite. One thing to note, if you do have a fireplace and you're pulling, can I have you sit back so they can see what's happening? You're like a rock. Just stay and wait right here. Thank you. When you clean out the soot out of your fireplace, it is great for your compost. So I'm gonna hold you back there. So I'm going to grab some of the stuff that is in the fireplace and I'm gonna throw it into the compost. We built a compost here, and although it is temporary and not our forever home, we thought that having some sort of compost system here would be really beneficial. I think it's really beneficial for any place. Excuse, was that a toot? You saw it here, my friends. That was the Lanka toot. It does not smell nice either. What did you eat? He smells it. He's smelling it. You stinky boy. We started composting when we lived in LA pretty much right when we started the vegetable garden, because first off, we realized how wonderful it was to take kind of scraps from the garden and put them into the compost. Also, when you put food scraps into the regular trash, it then goes to a landfill, sits there and creates methane, which is not good for our environment. So us doing the due diligence of organizing our trash and not putting our food scraps into the trash does lower our own carbon footprint, and that's important to us. That all being said, I will stop talking your ear off about composting, and I will take this soot and put it in our compost, okay? Hope you had a good toot. Hope you let that out. Hope you feel a little bit lighter. My theory is that baskets are the answer to everything in home organization. I love organizing firewood in baskets like this. So I was like very happy that this was here when we got here, because if it wasn't, I would have taken one out of those boxes and put it here, because I just think baskets are great to just have in random corners of the house. Like when we have kids, can you get your butt out of the shot, that stinky butt? Like when we have kids, I want to have baskets in all little corners of the house so I could just grab their stuff, like their toys and stuff and books and whatever, and just throw it into the baskets. And that's what I like to do with a lot of Lanka's toys and stuff. We don't have as many toys as you used to have. We downsized. You're a minimalist now, Lonky. The fire is going. I'm chopping some onion. I've got a little bit of butter on the skillet behind me. I've got my classical music playing. The house is clean and organized, and there's just something to be said for that moment when you're done doing all that stuff and you're just cooking up a good dinner and the house feels cozy. There's just, sometimes there's just nothing better.